Create a main element with a class product-grid. Create a div with a class of product. Add a data-id attribute and make this equal to 1. Create another div with the class image-container image element. In this image, we're going to navigate into our images folder and select watch 1 and then put some basic alt text to add a lazy loading attribute at the end. Create an h3 element, paste our text followed by a paragraph element. Underneath that, another paragraph element, button with a class of add to cart. Text add to cart. Include our description, include our price, and we'll also add a $sign to that. Navigate to our styles.css. We're going to go all the way up here to the top, target our product-grid, change our display to grid template columns. Repeat, we want 3 columns and we want each column to take up the same amount of space. Gap of 1 rem, max width 80 rem, margin of 5 rem, and auto. Then we want a padding of 0 and 5 rem. Shop header class, align our text to the center, add a margin top of 10 rem, change our font size to 2.5 rem. Product class, change our display to flex direction to be column, align our items to the center, justify our content to the center, gap of 0.5 rem. Image container class, overflow of hidden, box shadow of 0, 0, 2 pixels and 0 one more time, RGBA value black, and we want it to be at 75% opacity. Create a border radius of 0.2 rem. Product image, add a transition of 0.3 seconds, change our cursor to grab, and we want to change our width to 100%. Target our product image again, so I'll copy and paste it, but I want to target it on hover. Change our transform, and we want to scale this by 1.1. And now if we hover on this, you guys can see it zooms in, but it doesn't go outside of our image container. Target our product h3 and product paragraph here. Max width of 15 rem. Align our text to the center. Margin 1 rem followed by 3 zeros. Add to cart class. Add a padding of 1 rem followed by a margin of 1 rem. Change our border to none, and we once again want a border radius of 0.2 rem. Change our cursor to a pointer, add a transition of 0.4 seconds, change our font size to 1 rem, and we want to have a bold font weight. Target our add to cart, but on hover. Use our transform again, followed by our scale, and use 1.1. Now to make this responsive for mobile devices, we're going to scroll back down to our media query with a max width of 767 pixels. Target our product grid, change the grid template columns to once again repeat, but we only want 1 column for mobile devices, so we'll say 1 column at 1 FR each. So you guys can see now if I shrink that down, it will switch to a 1 column layout to include a gap of 4 rem, and then we want to target our image container and change the width of this to 50%, so it's not so big. So now if we shrink down, you guys can see it and it looks a little prettier. Navigate to your scripts.js file. Everything that I have in here is simply for the navigation, so we're just going to move that down and out of the way. Create a constant variable called cart storage. Make this equal to an empty object. We want to set up a get key. Here we want to create a function and make this equal to JSON dot parse parentheses local storage, because that's where we're going to be storing the information for our site, followed by get item, and we want to get our cart products, and we want to initialize an empty array if we cannot get our cart products local storage. Now we need to create a set key, create a function. We want to pass a parameter called cart products, and then we want to use our local storage dot set item, pass in our cart products array that we either got up here or needed to initialize as an empty array, and then we want to JSON dot stringify our cart products. Next, we want to set up a constant called isIndexPage, and we're going to use this to conditionally render stuff onto each page. Window dot location dot path name dot includes, and then we want to pass in our index.html file. And here we can simply copy this and paste it down below and change this to is cart page and change our index to cart.html. Next, we're going to create a variable called items, and this is going to be equal to an array, and we're going to store each one of our products and its information inside of an object. So the ID for the first one will be 1, followed by a description of this, a title. We want to get our image and our price here. Now I can just copy this, and we're only going to have 3 products, but you can have as many as you want. And I'm going to go ahead and change out these next 2. Now you guys can see I also included alt text, so I'm going to include some alt text for the first item. So now we have 3 items, and you guys can create more or less based on your needs. And now we can use this information to dynamically render our products onto the page instead of hard coding it in. So right below this, we're going to use an if statement to see if we are on our index page by using isIndexPage. Create a variable called product container, make this equal to document.querySelector, and we want to select our product grid class. And then what we want to do is specify our items array, and then for each one of these items that we have listed here, what we want to do is specify each item, which is going to be each object in this array above. Use our arrow syntax to create a function, create a variable called new prod, and what we can do is go back to our index.html, and instead of having all of this be hard coded into our HTML, what we can do is select it, Control X to get rid of it, come back to our script, and then we're going to use template literals, which are backticks. These are not quotation marks. These are normally located in the top left of your computer. And what we want to do here is simply paste in our HTML. And then inside of our product container, what we want to do is use .insert adjacent HTML. And we want to insert this before end. And we want it to be our new product variable. So now you guys can see that we have this showing up 3 times because it's creating a product for each one of the objects that we have within our array here, which is 3. So what we want to do now is not hard code in our ID. So to get rid of this, you want to use $ followed by your curly brackets. We need to access our item.id. We want to do this for each one of the values that needs to change. So for our image here, what we can do is use that same syntax again, use our item and .image here, and we can also use our alternative text. So again, follow the same syntax, and we want to go item.alt. Our h3 is going to be item.title, and what I'm going to do is just simply copy this and paste it for our description here, paste it for our price. So what we can do here is we can do item.description and item.price. And what we can do here to get our $ is simply put another $ in the front to give it the correct format. And now you guys can see, with the help of our template literal and our format here, we can dynamically render our products onto our HTML page without having to hard code it in with this simple line of code here. So what we can do now is go down below, create another constant called add to cart buttons here, make this equal to document.querySelector all, and what we want to do is select each one of our add to cart buttons here. And query selector all is going to return a node list. So because it's a node list, we can use our array methods. So we'll use dot for each on this variable, pass a button as our parameter. And then for each one of these buttons, what we want to do is add an event listener. And this is going to be an on-click event listener here. And in this event listener, we want to pass our event object. And now we can create another constant called product ID. Make that equal to our event dot target dot closest. And before I continue, if you guys are confused about exactly what this is getting, what you can do throughout the code today is use our console.log and simply log out the variables like so, and you guys can see them. And we're looking for our product class, and we want to get an attribute. So we'll say get attribute, and we want to get our data dash ID attribute, which is going to be this one, which is going to be a unique number for each one of our products. Now, if we go over here and inspect this page, what you guys are going to notice is that if I go to the console, you guys don't see anything. But if I select add to cart, it's going to log 1 because this is our product with the ID of 1, 2 for 2, and 3 for 3. So if you guys get confused, use console.log to see what's going on. Then we want to create a product data variable. We want to pass in our items, and we want to find something. And here we want to pass item because here we're going to be looking for something in our items array. So we want to say if our item.id is equal to the number value, so we'll use parse int of our product ID, create a variable called cart items using our let keyword, make this equal to cart storage dot get. Look for our existing item index by creating a variable called existing item index. Make this equal to cart items dot find, pass in item again, use our item dot ID, and then we want to see if this is the same thing as our product data dot ID. So that's why we created this variable, so we could use it down here. And then now we want to see if our item is already in the cart. So we'll use our existing item index, and we'll see if this is not equal to -1. And that means it's already in the cart. So we want to issue an alert, and we want to say item is already in the cart. But if it's not already in the cart, we want to use our else statement and use our cart items dot push method. And we want to push our new item as an object to our cart items by using the spread operator on our product data variable. And this is actually 3 dots here. And then we want to pass an initial quantity of 1. And here is where we can use that cart storage variable that we created early on here. And we want to set our cart items now. So this is going to officially put this new object into our local storage. Finally, we want to alert that the item is added to your cart. And this we need to wrap in quotation marks. And I accidentally messed up where it says existing item index. Instead of just find, we're specifically looking for the index here. So we need to say find indexed. Now, if we go to our inspector tools and go to console, what we want to do is type in our local storage followed by .clear, and we can select this one here. Go ahead and enter that. That's going to clear our local storage. And then what we want to do now is test out to see if this works. So if we press add to cart, it's going to say item added to your cart. But if we press it again, you're going to see that it says item is already in the cart. And you guys can see the first time it logged -1. So we're running our else part of our if statement. But the second time it's 0. So we run this portion. And now if we simply type in local storage and hit enter, what you're going to notice is that our product, our first one here with the ID of 1, is located here with all the necessary information. So now that we have the functionality for our shop page set up, tap here to see what happens next.